Welcome once again to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest motoring news and reviews. This week, Audi takes a trip back to the past as it unveils a newly completed project some 90 years in the making.
We've also got the most powerful Volkswagen Golf you can buy and legally drive on the road.
Plus, Alpine finally lifts the covers on its first ever all-electric vehicle.
That is all coming up. First though, the news.
A recent HPI report shows that used EV prices are finally dropping below those of the equivalent internal combustion model, offering zero-emission motoring without the added price. The report names two-year-old models in particular, like the Jaguar I-Pace and Mercedes EQC, as having depreciated by over £20,000 since hitting UK roads, whilst first-year Porsche Taycans have reportedly dropped by over £40,000 since launch. HPI puts the relative affordability of used electric cars down to the ever-growing availability of models on the road. According to the data, over 1.1 million fully electric vehicles are now registered on UK roads, whilst BEVs represented 17.6% of all new car registrations in May of this year. However, other organisations have blamed exponentially improving tech in new cars and rapid battery deterioration for cheaper second-hand prices. So whilst it may seem like a bargain is within your grasp, it's worth noting that a used EV won't stand the test of time in the same way a regular combustion car would.
Earlier this year, we took a look at the all-new Mark 8.5 Volkswagen Golf, now in its facelifted form. Fixing several little issues with the original 8th generation, the new car will no doubt continue the car's now 50-year history in strong form. But what is the Golf without its sporty additions? The GTI name is equally as long-lasting as the standard hatchback itself. But for the last few decades, sitting at the top of the Golf tree is this, the R. And now there's a new one. Much like the entry-level model, the Golf R in Mark 8.5 spec gets very few exterior changes from the outgoing model. Lines are a bit softer overall and the lower grille is a bit larger, but the lack of external flare just makes the new car even more shocking when you read the specification sheet. Thanks to a 15 brake horsepower increase, the Golf R is now the most powerful Golf ever and one of the fastest models to come out of Volkswagen. In its top-of-the-line R Performance version, the 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder that powers the Hyperhatch pumps out over 330 brake horsepower to the four wheels and through a flappy paddle gearbox. Torque vectoring means the car will send power to individual wheels, keeping slip to a minimum, whilst an electric limiter will let you surpass 165 mph. You'll also find clever tech dotted around the interior, from the AI-powered voice controls to touch-sensitive steering wheel buttons and the redesigned instrument cluster, not to mention the eyesore that is the 13-inch infotainment screen with overhauled menus. But that all comes with lesser additions of the latest Golf. What really gets us going is the funky seat upholstery design that fits brilliantly within the carbon fibre and Nappa leather-clad cabin. Sales for the new shaped Golf R kicked off in early August, with order books now open. The so-called most powerful Golf ever produced kicks off pricing at just over £43,000, though in our minds the model's estate variant is a better blend of performance and practicality at its additional £1,300.
Once a manufacturer famed for its bolstered and safe estate models, Volvo is seemingly now all about plush, high-riding SUVs. Towards the more approachable end of the Swedish car maker's list of offerings is the 40 series, now available in all-electric coupe form. This is the Volvo EC40. Sitting here is the model's so-called Black Edition, with its darkened paint, wheels and interior. But not to worry, you don't have to go all vigilante if you don't want to. Several colour options will surely uplift this car's look. And quite the handsome model it is too, with its clear homogeneity with other Volvo models, thanks to a recognisable headlight LED shape, blanked out grille and nice tall roof, alongside a dramatic coupe rear end. A set of wings on the back pair nicely with the cool taillight form, though we're not too sure if we'd pick it over the standard EX40 with added practicality. Indeed, that sloping rear end does take away interior comfort from the EC40 with its 489-litre boot and 1.5 inch less rear headroom. Regardless, the cabin is a nice space with its very Volvo dashboard design, including nice materials and this lovely fitted infotainment screen running on the manufacturer's extremely run-of-the-mill system. It's far from a bad bit of kit, but functionality is not exactly revolutionary either.
One of the most recent models the EC40 will have to conquer does, however, have quite the forward-thinking interiors. The BMW iX2 in its new form was launched not too long ago and follows modern trends like plenty of mood lighting, a large wraparound screen and the latest in BMW infotainment tech. Not to mention the cabin's overall cocooning effect thanks to tight seats and a lower roofline, making for a more dynamic appeal. Despite its aggressive looks, the iX2 does somehow offer a more spacious cabin, notably getting a larger boot, enough for an extra carry-on bag. Whether you like it or not, that edgy character translates brilliantly to the iX2's exterior with more kicks, flicks, slits and bits than you can shake a stick at. But when those subtle details aren't enough to amplify the look, massive touches like the tail lights, kidney grille and 20-inch wheels add to the proportions. The new sloping BMW SUV is certainly a polarising model visually. Some will adore this sporty style, whilst others will struggle to look at it without turning the other way. However, what the Bavarian high-riding coupe does do well is split the Volvo EC40's lineup of offerings down the middle with its current sole powertrain. In xDrive 30 specification, a 65 kWh battery powers a motor on either axle, making for a combined 313 brake horsepower and offering a competitive 280 miles of range on a charge.
Elsewhere, Volvo's more elegant approach to coupe SUV design hides a choice of two power variants: Recharge and Recharge Twin for, you guessed it, single or dual motor setups. Despite both options getting larger batteries than the BMW at 75 or 67 kWh respectively, neither outdo the German's predicted range, the most efficient model falling 5 miles short on combined routes. In the top-of-the-range Volvo, you do get over 400 bhp to play with, though will you really ever use it all in your daily round-town runabout? By offering a higher performance, longer-range model and budget option, you would expect the Volvo EC40 to come out a bit cheaper than the iX2 on paper. However, BMW offers its electric coupe SUV from a little under £51,000, whereas you won't get your hands on either Volvo variant for less than $52,500, and that is before opting for the competitive twin model. Overall, we do prefer the Volvo's presentation, but that is a price difference that we are struggling to justify.
After the break, we check out two of our favourite value for money 7-seat SUVs.
Welcome back. Coming up, how do 16 cylinders, wire wheels and 1930s design sound?
Earlier this year, we took a look at Alpine's latest creation in prototype form. But now the French manufacturer has finally lifted the covers on its all-electric Renault 5 Turbo Throwback hot hatch. In fact, only the second new model to emerge from the car maker's Dieppe factory doors in its new era, the so-called A290 is based upon the upcoming Renault 5 all-electric hatchback. Though raunchy touches like broad hips, bolder details and the now signature Alpine double headlight face all turn the EV from a city-goer to a rally stage monster. Nice contrasting paint and these complex wheels all add to the new car's dramatic presence. Unlike its sporty coupe cousin, the Alpine A110, this hot hatch benefits from the added practicality of 5 doors and 5 seats, plus a competitive 326-litre boot. A great city car thanks to its small dimensions and yet spacious interior. It should also be capable of dynamic Sunday driving thanks to its all-electric running gear. Sadly, Renault's Group B rally car's descendant doesn't get whooshing turbos and leery driving attributes. But what it does get is 220 brake horsepower and 221 pound-foot of torque to the front wheels only in true hot hatch style. And that in an EV weighing less than 1.5 tonnes. Picture this then as the decent Golf GTI rival for the new age. All that power is stored within a 54 kilowatt-hour battery, which may not sound like a lot, but thanks to the car's light construction, Alpine states 235 miles of range, plenty for a quick blast along a mountain pass. A lower 180 brake specification is available for those that so desire, but we like the sound of 0 to 62 in 6.4 seconds and the nicer interior materials that come with higher trim levels. Official UK prices are yet to be announced, but we expect it to sit around the £40,000 range for the full-fat 220 brake horsepower edition. For a Bark without the bite model, 180 horsepower should be yours from £37,000.
The largest model on offer in the SKODA range, the KODIAQ, has now been transformed for its second generation since hitting the market in 2017. 7 seats, a focus on comfort and handsome looks, the core recipe is much the same as it's always been. But in its latest version, the top check model will be aiming to continue its push towards the best SUVs in class. Visually, we must admit that the new shape KODIAQ certainly does a good job of promoting itself as a class-leading contender. Sticking to traditional lines, maximising interior space, it still manages to look impressive thanks to SKODA's typical linear design language. Furthermore, with its new front and rear ends, it fits in brilliantly with other models in the range like the equally fresh Superb. Inside, the car's high number of seats pairs well with the upturned steering wheel position akin to that of a bus. But with plenty of the modern day's top luxuries, there are very few other comparisons to be made with public transport. Screens galore, fancy switches and dials, and lovely upholstery in higher SEL trim levels all make the cabin feel rather upmarket. With over 2.5 metres of wheelbase to play with, the cabin is certainly spacious for the 2 front rows of seats. Though, as ever with these 7-seat models, the third row may feel somewhat cramped and most definitely limits boot space. Then again, it's a nice luxury to have for larger family get-togethers. Power comes from a variety of units. The most recent addition to the range is a plug-in hybrid model offering up to 75 miles of range and astonishing fuel economy, though added batteries under the floor do mean it's not available in 7-seat form. For the benefit of space, either a 2-litre diesel or 1.5-litre petrol offer similar power and between 45 and 50 miles per gallon. Hitting the market at around £37,000, depending on if you select that third row of seats or not, the KODIAQ actually appears far more lavish than it actually is.
However, SKODA's reputation as a budget attention seeker is seemingly being attacked by a certain lion-fronted French manufacturer. Yes, in recent years, Peugeot's styling department has had something of a revolution, launching a number of epic designs. The largest of them all is this, the Peugeot 5008, a 7-seat looker, also with comfort on the mind. And to continue the similarities with SKODA's offering, it too gets a starting price of £37,000. Though hindered by its broader looks compared to a modest 208 hatchback, the 5008 is also a good-looking model with its sleek lines and aggressive fascia. In addition, the tall, boxy roofline almost gives the model a premium appeal that will no doubt turn heads when out and about. On show is a fully electric variant of the 5008, but the modular platform upon which it's based also welcomes a pair of petrol hybrid offerings with, just like the SKODA, a PHEV for almost 200 brake horsepower and a mild hybrid pushing 136, both with competitive fuel economy compared to the KODIAQ. Setting the Peugeot apart, however, is its far funkier interior design. Where SKODA looks very clean, tidy, organised and potentially dull, the 5008 is all about cool angles and a striking layout, all centred around the cockpit that envelops the driver. Rear passengers get plenty of controls and nice upholstery covers the entire cabin. With larger windows versus SKODA's creation, the Peugeot does make the rear passenger seating appear more spacious, despite actually limiting the cabin room in reality. That being said, the boot is ever so slightly larger in the 5008, able to fit, at best, an extra shopping bag. Both sitting at a similar price and with very competitive attributes, picking these two apart will be a challenge. However, only a certain person can jump out a flashy, highlighter green cabin in confidence. So if you're not one of those few, perhaps the SKODA is for you.
Before World War II, Germany was very much a dominant force in Grand Prix car racing, notably thanks to Auto Union, a precursor to the Audi name. The Silver Arrows, with their ridiculous power figures, class-leading understanding of aerodynamics and top driving talent, were unrivaled. But one model the original Four Rings never managed to create was its race car-derived road-going Type 52. That is, until now. Unveiled for the Goodwood Festival of Speed is Audi's attempt to build the eye-catching motorway cruiser using archived documents, techniques from the day, and the same jaw-dropping numbers. Sat behind the 3-seat cabin is a whopping 6-litre, 16-cylinder engine pushing over 510 brake horsepower to the rear wheels. With drum brakes on all 4 wheels, that makes for a beast we think will leave for the professional drivers to tame. In fact, the so-called Schnell Sportswagen is as period correct as possible, even down to these skinny wire wheels. Pairing nicely with the old-timey wheels is the body, an aerodynamically efficient form with clear inspiration from planes of the time. From the riveted body panels to the elongated 5-metre-long teardrop shape and flowing wheel wells, you can almost see the way air has sculpted the Type 52. Up front, and the large grille throwing back to pre-war Grand Prix cars and headlights just big enough for road use, remind you that this is actually a flightless bird. Inside, the recreation model will welcome up to 3 people behind the tasteful wood panel dashboard and sizable steering wheel. Ornate dials complete the look, all while making us lust after a time before 33-inch invasive screens. Space for spare wheels and a full toolkit in the back is a sign that this Schnell Sportswagen was never designed for public sale. Instead, breaking away from Grand Prix racing and joining the world of sports cars was Auto Union's original aim with this model. And with a theoretical top speed of over 120 miles per hour back in its day, we can imagine it performing well on the long straights of the Le Mans 24-hour circuit. Unfortunately, we'll never know how the Auto Union Type 52 would have performed in its time, with history taking a different turn. All we can do is admire the technology and creativity on show in what is a stunning recreation of a car lost to the past.
That's all we have time for now, but make sure to join us next time as we check out a pair of brilliant sporty coupes that will make you want to hit the track.